What up, y'all? Top of the top. Good morning, early afternoon. I was watching an interview with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. Very powerful. I'm going to play a little snippet of it. And it made me think about nowadays how we got the gender wars and how they was communicating. It was gender roles, but they was communicating. The man sitting down and the woman sitting down. And they was communicating. Even in disagreement, they was hearing each other out. And this was 40, 50 years ago. Check this out.
The price you had to pay, the price you're expected to pay, and which you have to outwit, is your sex. No, a black man is forbidden by definition, since he's black, to assume the roles, the burdens, the duties, and the joys of being a man. In the same way that my child produced in your body did not belong to me, but to the master. He could be sold at any moment.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can follow that.
And this erodes a man's sexuality. When you erode a man's sexuality, you destroy his possibility to love anybody. You know, though sex and love are not the same thing, if the man's sexuality is gone, then his possibility, his hope of loving is also gone. You know,
He has no way to express. He has limited ways to express.
He has absolutely no floor on which to dance, no room in which to move, no way to get from one day to the next.
I think that the only thing that's changed in the last, since Martin Luther King, since 54, I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. And what she
No, I
said
don't think
is
she's changed. I think she's become more visible.
I think she's changed. Because there was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good.
Okay.
You must establish a new base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman of what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
Yeah, but you can't
because
say,
the provision part.
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that. No, I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right. Okay. I'll even
I
go with
demand
that.
that you be a man, and I don't think that that's asking too much. Because if I wanted a provision, instead I would get a camper. You know what I mean? I would get a camper that provides things. You know what I mean? You get an army surplus kit that provides things. I need a man, and black men have always been offered to provisions. People are either going to eat or starve to death.
Deep, real deep. It made me think that we not failing at relationships because men and women are too different. We failing because we turned those differences into a war instead of a language. See, gender wars now sound like, I don't need you. You the problem. Men ain't this, women ain't that. It's defensive, it's ego driven, it's about winning, not understanding. And when communication becomes some sort of like battlefield, nobody listening. Everybody just reloading that clip and firing off. Masculine energy tends to communicate through logic, solution-based actions. On the other hand, feminine energy tends to communicate through emotion, expression, connection. Put those two together, you got what you witnessed 50 years ago. It was podcasting back then, but they didn't call it that. They called it a conversation, an interview. So the problem is we stopped translating and started judging. A man hear emotion and he thinking she being irrational. A woman hear logic in and she start thinking he think he know everything, he don't care. Now both people that's communicating feeling misunderstood. And when people feel misunderstood, what do? They separate. They pull away. Because instead of asking, what are you actually trying to say, and listening and hearing that person out, people respond more aggressively. Why you like this? Deflect and turn it on themselves. Why you not listening to me? That's when it turns into we stop listening to respond. We just start listening to translate and not hearing you clear. When a woman vents, she not always asking for solutions. Some people may say. She may be just asking to be heard or felt. And when he goes quiet, he not always disconnected. He just trying to process before he speak. That's how these things get conflated, and we wind up where we at now. Different languages, same desires, both have a desire to be understood. And the strongest relationships aren't built on us being exactly the same or having the sameness. They built on to the ability to decode each other, listen to each other, communicate with each other without turning it into conflict. And if it do go into conflict, we know how to balance that conflict out. Watching that video made me, even though he was interviewing her, it made me feel like because he listened, they was able to communicate and they went into competition. It was some things being said. The link to that full video gonna be in the description, by the way. The moment communication becomes competition, love gonna turn into a scoreboard. And guess what? Some would say anybody could win that game. Some would say everybody loses. Which one you choose?